Hello, cats and kittens. Oriwa Jose, Yoroshiku. Welcome back to Manga Mondays, where we are doing our review, our impressions of One Piece 1001, which is entitled Battle of Monsters on Onigashima. We're finally getting into the beginnings of the battle for Onigashima, which is cool, which is very cool. This was a very impressive beginning of the fight. Now I say beginning. The first blow was actually thrown in the last chapter where Luffy decks Kaido, but we get to see the results of that blow, single blow, and it's pretty descriptive as to what it meant that Luffy, what that blow actually represented, especially from Kaido's standpoint. First off, we noticed that as opposed maybe to some other battles that Luffy's had, he is, and especially as opposed to the, well, if you want to call it a fight, Luffy's scrimmage with Kaido when he got one-shotted, he is calm. You can see that from that first page, third panel, second panel, I guess, depending on how you're reading it. He's calm. You know, you look at him, he's not furious and, you know, all up in his feelings. He's calm, which contributed to his ability to, as we see, or contributes to his ability, as we see in the coming pages, to dodge the exact same attack that KO'd him in their first confrontation. But first of all, the reaction of the other supernova to Luffy's blow, his hit on Kaido, is telling in the respect that, I mean, from Zoro's standpoint, he's not wowed necessarily. He knows Luffy. He's his first mate, his partner. He's just wondering, oh, so that's what the old man taught him. But he's definitely not wild. Interesting when you look at Kid doesn't even didn't believe that a physical blow could put Kaido down, or at least do any damage to him, which lets you know that the level of advanced armament haki that Luffy uses is beyond Kid, at least beyond his capacity to use. We can say that. He can't use that level of haki, or he doesn't know it. He doesn't know how to use that real advanced armament haki. It's interesting that his partner, Killer, you know, he seems like a pretty practical dude. He's like, so we got a chance, basically. And Law, we'll get into him in a minute, but he's his head is somewhere else. Anyway, Big Mom, either way, she's still on about Luffy making the declaration that he'd be Pirate King. You know, does he even know what that means? I wonder what that means to her, to be honest with you. Whereas Kaido is just astonished, I say, or at least surprised to a great extent that he was done damage by that blow. And then he kind of begins to measure what Luffy's ceiling might be, what he could ultimately be capable of now or in the future. And he's basically comparing him to people of Roger's ilk, Whitebeard's ilk, Shanks, Rocks, and Odin. Or at least those people who are pictured there. There could be others, but he said there's a scant few people that are capable of fighting me. You know, scant few people that can even get into the ring and fight me. And he didn't imagine that he was at that level when they first fought, which is why he KO'd him and threw him in prison. So he's excited. And I'm getting Zaraki Kenpachi vibes at this point. You know, Kenpachi's a dude that just wants to fight. He wants to get into a serious fight against somebody who is on his level or even better, past him. Kenpachi's thing was he wanted to get stronger, whatever. I'm not saying that Kaido wants to get stronger, but he does want to fight. And he is excited by this because he fires up another Thunder Bagua, and he is that much amazed again when Luffy is able to duck it. Again, because he's able to use his future sight. Had he not, the results would have been the same. He'd have been KO'd, killed, or thrown back in prison or whatever. But he gets clipped. But for the most part, he avoids getting wrecked, which again shows the man's growth. He's continually growing in his ability, and he even praises him. He says, you didn't take the same hit twice. Very good, boy. Again, that's the Kenpachi vibe that I'm getting. For those of you who was into Bleach before it went south. So, and then Big Mom takes the opportunity to get in a cheap shot, which Big Mom's involvement in this chapter to me is she doesn't seem as big time as she should be. I mean, would she take a cheap shot on the dude? I would say a cheap shot, try to get in a quick one. Yeah, that's not Yonko-ish. But this doesn't feel like a double team anyway, because, two big timers trying to double team a little guy seems kind of weak, but whatever. So she tries to get in her shot while Luffy's distracted. Zoro, of course, his partner, gets his back, chops Zeus in half. Prometheus in half, which is, you figure if Brook could damage a homie, definitely, Zoro would be able to. So he cuts him in half, not a problem. And another interesting thing is Zoro being able to cut an element. It's interesting because he basically stole Kinemon's ability to cut fire. I imagine that would be something that he would learn in the same vein as when he learned to cut metal, or it would be some kind of an achievement. This is basically off screen at this point. He learned how to do it, and that's just it. He stole, he basically, as he said, he stole it. He stole that ability. But apparently it doesn't have to do anything with advanced level of hockey or any specific type of training. Or if it does, Oda off-screened it, so it doesn't really matter. He just can do it. All right, fine. So, but it is cool that he was able to cut fire. That's okay. Again, I kind of let down by that. I wanted to see if it meant anything in terms of his development with hockey. But apparently it doesn't, so we let that go. Again, he's about to take another cheap shot, while he's kind of distracted, although this is a battle, so you can't say it's a cheap shot. Once you step onto the battlefield, you got to expect anything. So Kaido tries to get him again, not a Thunder Boggle, I don't think, but he's coming at him from behind, and he's saved by Law, which is cool, but then we get the comedic value of Law basically telling, going back to the last issue and telling Luffy, look, I was going to take the samurai, the Kinemon and the other scabbards. I was going to transport them below anyway. But you telling me to do it, make it sound like I'm taking orders from you. I ain't your subordinate, blah, blah, blah. And of course, Kid takes the opportunity to, get his jabs in, saying that, so you're a subordinate to this guy. Ah, nice. You're both losers, basically. And they get into it. It's a good comedic bit, I think. Not that you needed not that you needed to lighten the tone any, but it's consistent with their character, the three of them. They've been bickering since they first met as Chevrolet Archipelago. So, and then Luffy comes up with the idea that, whoever, flinches first from these fireballs is a loser. And they all, these are captains, what I'm saying? They're supposed to know better, but, that is the level of their interaction. They're proud, they bicker, so they all get hit. And of course Zoro chastises them because, we're fighting Yonko. You know what I'm saying? We could die up here. This ain't really the time for that. But, again, the comedic value is gold. Now we get into Zoro and Killer a little bit, because at this point Zoro's going in. You know, he wants to test his mettle as well as anybody else. So he's going in. He basically tells, you know, Hitoriki Kamazu, stay out of my way, whatever. And then Killer's like, look, man, if I had my tools last time we fought, man, you'd be dead. And Zoro's like, nah, not really. You know what I'm saying? They don't bicker, which is interesting because the first mates are a little bit more composed than the captains, which is comedic. You know, it's I find that interesting. And they both go in on Kaido with their attacks. Santorio, the Onigiri, Killer comes in with his beheading claws. They both attack. It's interesting that in the official translation, Kaido laughs and says, well done. That's interesting. And now I look at that first panel. I'm looking at Kaido's neck because Killer went for decapitation. He went for the neck, clearly. And it looks like there are little lines on his neck, but I can't tell if those are scars or anything that was already there. So it looked like Killer hit the neck and left a print of some sort, but didn't cut through, obviously. That's my impression. I mean, you let me know, but that's what it looks like to me. Either way, he is by saying well done, I'm guessing he's impressed. You know, I don't see actually that it looks like, I don't think he drew blood. I don't think either of them drew blood. But anyway, he's impressed. And again, that well done in the unofficial translation, I think it said something like, what do you say, as expected or something like that. But well done means it has obviously a positive connotation. So I thought that was interesting. And then Zoro makes the remark that I've got to unleash this Emna a bit more. It interests me in this respect. My impression is when he got Emna is that Emna pulls out your haki at an alarming rate, and it said cuts deeper than you intended. So ultimately, Emna is just a conduit to your own haki. So is he saying that he's got to, and when he first got Emna and it did pull on his haki, his arm was emaciated and he had to fight to bring it back, get the haki back. So is that to say that he's being too reserved? Because it seems to be he's just got this sword. This is a brand new tool for him. So is he basically saying, okay, I got to let go. I got to unleash and let Emna do his thing. Of course, if it unleashes too much and leaves him defenseless, that could be a problem. So it's interesting. But ultimately, my impression is that Emna is just a tool to using his own haki. So I want to see how that develops. Okay, that's an interesting bit. Then from there, you get the three-prong attack, Punk, Rotten, Gear Forth, Room, and they all go in on Kaido at the same time. Now, another thing that kind of hits me is that with Kids, Punk Rotten, which is a mech basically, we see I was interested to see exactly how he can use his magnetic powers in a sense to, because his powers are a bit how can I put this? His powers are tricky, always seem the trickiest of the three to use in an attempt to hurt somebody that can tank physical attacks. I mean, swordsmanship is one thing, trying to cut somebody, but with magnetic powers, how do you do that? I was, just wondering what he could use. This actually is a pretty interesting and a pretty creative use of his abilities. Create a mech and then try to crush somebody to death. He even says, we know that your skin is tough, but let's see if you can survive being crushed. Now, we know what Luffy can do with Gear Forth. My question is he using Ryu, that advanced armament haki, with that Gear Forth? And if so, does that constitute a new attack? Because he used Kong Gun on Kaido before to no effect. So if he's just hitting him with Kong Gun, he should know that that's not going to do anything special. I'm assuming he would infuse with Ryu and try to do some damage in that sense. Kaido doubles over, which is cool, but it doesn't seem to do any damage much further than that. And then when we get to Law, my issue with Law is his power to me almost seemed kind of OP in the respect that, I mean, when we first met him, you know, he was like cutting dudes like in half and rearranging them and stuff like that. And I'm assuming, and this is a logical assumption, that his ability to cut something is maybe dependent on the density, the toughness of the individual. So maybe he can't just cut Kaido up. That's fair. Because he could just create a room and commence to slicing them to pieces. But that would be kind of anticlimactic. He could kill a whole lot of people that way. So his statement was that he was going to, he said, I will go straight inside the body and deliver a surgical death. That's that radio knife or something like that he used on Doflamingo. I'm wondering what prevents that from working against Kaido. Maybe it's just because he's so tough. His skin is so tough. But should he be able to cut him up from the inside or do something like that? I don't know what prevents him from doing that, but instead he drops a bunch of sharp rocks on him, which I don't think would do much of any real damage to him. And it doesn't. He used the attack, drops the rocks on him to no avail, you know. But I didn't expect that to work anyway. So Kaido ultimately tanks all of the attacks. You know, like I say, Kong Gun looked like it was okay. The Punk Vice, you know, I think he squealed a little bit maybe. I think it crunched him, but it didn't do too much. It didn't. The point is he survived that. Comes up in dragon form, and now you get that last beautiful spread of the two Yonko in the sky. Basically, telling them it's over. You know, we're going to kill you. We're going to take your crews. We're going to take your treasure, take your poneglyphs, and that's it. He even says it's a shame. It's almost a shame to kill you, but, you know, the time of, you know, breaking your spirits and turning you into subordinates is over. So now we're just going to take all of your stuff. And whoever wins this battle is that much closer to being the Pirate King. So at this point, we can say that a lot of things could still happen. Onigashima is still in the air, which does still present to me the problem that if they do put Kaido down, does Onigashima drop and everybody on it get killed, or anybody underneath it gets killed? I'm not sure, but it seems like this is going to be the big end battle. I still hold out that some more Supernova may get up here. Can these 5 take out those 2? I mean, like Killer said, they have a chance since Luffy can do damage to Kaido with blows, which in my opinion would go the same for Big Mom, because they're both, for some reason I believe Big Mom is maybe slightly tougher. I don't know. I just got a sneaking suspicion. See, Big Mom is, to me, getting played kind of soft. To me, she's not been unleashed as the monster I think she is. I mean, that we know she is because she's a Yonko. But that we're still coming. We're coming to that. She hasn't got her big moment yet, and I don't know who it's going to be against. But she's got Napoleon lit up. Well, not Napoleon. Is it Napoleon? Her sword, basically. Napoleon's the head, right? I can't remember. Anyway, so her sword's out there, you know, teeth all out and all that stuff. So we got a couple of swordsmen up there. Oddly enough, Law hasn't used his sword yet, which he has used in the past to devastating results. But again, I think he's nerfed a little bit too, but that's just my opinion. But I think these guys got a chance, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously I'm pulling for Luffy, but I want to see these Supernova take at least one of them out. But I still got the sneaking suspicion that Big Mom is not entirely all in with Kaido. You know what I mean? She's got ulterior motive. She's always going on about poneglyphs and stuff like that. So she might still double cross him. And, I got a sneaking suspicion also that she might be an ally at some point down the road. Because I don't see her getting killed. I don't think she's going to get killed in the battle for Onigashima. And I don't think that she's going to be necessarily taken out as a Yonko. But of course, the possibility exists that you could be 2 Yonko down and Kid and Luffy take their spots by the end of the entire arc. One of these Supernovas is going to be a Yonko by the end of this arc, I'm pretty sure. And the odds are in Luffy's favor because apparently he's the strongest of the 3. I don't think that's a problem. I don't think there's a big problem saying that. Because he could deal damage to a Yonko with a punch. Confirmed by Kaido. So there's that. This is a good beginning to the fight. And I was really happy with how this chapter turned out visually, and the comedy was good. The explanation basically of the powers, the abilities was good. Seeing Luffy basically being cast in the same light or at the same potential as people like Odin, Whitebeard. We knew he was going to be a successor to Roger, Shanks, and Rocks. Very impressive, very impressive. And we have to wait till the 31st for the next chapter, at least for the official translation. But it's going to be well worth the wait because it's One Piece. So, yeah, very impressed with this chapter. Comment, like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Talk amongst yourselves, whatever. That's it for now. Hit you with another review when 1002 drops. Until then, stay loose.